Celtic songbook. We'll sing, okay? Page 123. Tell it to Jesus. 1, 2, 3. All right, here we go. Page 123. Here we go. Are you weary? Are you heavy-hearted? Tell it to Jesus. Tell it to Jesus. Are you grieving over joys departed? Tell it to Jesus alone. Tell it to Jesus. Tell it to Jesus. He is a friend that's well known. You have no other such a friend, oh brother. Tell it to Jesus alone. Do the tears flow down your cheeks unbidden? Tell it to Jesus, tell it to Jesus. Have you sins that to men's eyes are hidden? Tell it to Jesus alone. Tell it to Jesus, tell it to Jesus. He is a friend that's well known. You have no other such a friend, oh brother. Tell it to Jesus alone. Last verse. Are you troubled at the thought of dying? Tell it to Jesus, tell it to Jesus. For Christ's coming kingdom are you sighing? Tell it to Jesus alone. Tell it to Jesus, tell it to Jesus. He is a friend that's well known. You have no other such a friend, oh brother. Tell it to Jesus alone. I love that song. You know, that's something you can't tell anybody else about a problem or a burden that you can't talk to anybody else about. That happens to me occasionally, actually a lot. I can't tell anybody. I can't go to anybody else with it. I just can't talk to anybody else about it. I got to tell him about it. So a lot of times when I go to prayer in the morning, I'm there for a long time just try to explain to God, which He already knows all my situation, trying to explain to God what the need is, and He already knows what the need is. He knows better than we do. Okay, speaking of needs, anybody got a prayer request? Okay. All righty. Anybody else? This Joe's having Heart Cath Monday. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Charlie, will you lead some prayer? Amen. You may have a praise report. Praise report. Things you're thankful for. You want to tell God, tell everyone how good God is for you. Something else happened. Something special happened. I got a couple things I want to tell you. I'll tell you. I know I mentioned this a couple weeks ago, but someone asked me. I would say 6 weeks ago we preached on fasting, and something came up last week while I was told about a situation, or a great answer to prayers. There's another situation that we found about this week, that God is answering prayers. If you will ask and you will ask and you will ask, and fasting is whatever you decide to give up, and say, God, you know this situation is more important than this one thing I like. I'm gonna give up Snickers bars or whatever it is. I'm gonna give up coffee, whatever it is. I'm gonna give up food, whatever food is, until I get the answer. And God answers those prayers. I'm thankful that He hears and answers prayers. We had more praise reports this week. Okay, couple announcements. Is next. There's a community, Sissonville Community Christmas Choir. Is going to sing at like 2 years ago we did it outside at the library when the night that they had the parade. Now they've separated, so it's not the same time as the parade. It will be will be on Friday, December 3rd at Aldersgate United Methodist Church in the community building. But the practice for the community choir is on Tuesday nights. The next practice is next Tuesday, November 16th at Maranatha. Maranatha is in charge of it, but they're having it at the community building up here on the hill. So next Tuesday night, those of you interested in singing in the choir at 6:30 p.m., be at Maranatha Baptist Church. We'll have practice on November 16th and the 30th, and then we'll sing on the December 3rd. Okay. Lady Circle is this Saturday at 9 a.m. Downstairs in the church kitchen, and doing the lesson Thankful Heart. Read ahead and make notes. It's in your ladies have the books for those. Okay. And then this Sunday we'll have something special for the veterans. We're going to have a reception after church in the back for the veterans that are here Sunday morning. And a small gift, nothing big, just a small gift for each veteran. Okay. Open Bible Street. You got a testimony? We asked for that. No one said anything. Going once, going twice. Good. Very good. I'm glad you got it. I took her back problem because I've had a back ache since Monday. I pulled it out. I don't know what to do. Okay. Second Corinthians. As we go through this, if you have questions, fire away with the questions. Hey, before we get to this, what's it mean to fear God? I'm going to go with the lesson. I'm going to go with the lesson like this is the lesson I had with the kids in the back. Okay, what does it mean to fear God? Okay, to love Him, follow His teaching. That's what you said. Respect. Okay, fear. Fear is not like being afraid of a bumblebee or I went over this lesson. I'm giving you the lesson I gave to the kids in the back before we get to our lesson. The fear of God is not like fear of a bumblebee or fear of a dog biting you or something like that, or fear of thunderstorms. This is a reverential trust or respect that understands who He is and what he has potential to do and what He can do. That if He spoke the worlds in existence, He can do anything for us. But that also means He's not waiting to zap us with something. As I think I had the influence as a child, thinking that God's up there with a club ready to hit you on the head if you did something that was wrong. And I listen to preachers on the radio sometimes. They kind of get that impression too, that God's waiting to get you. He just can't wait to get you, but to strike out at you. I don't think He does. He's defined as love. He is love. Like love is correction sometimes. We correct our children. Okay. 1 Corinthians chapter 3. No, excuse me. 2 Corinthians chapter 3. We'll read a couple verses, and then we're going to go. The lessons will come from chapter 4. So keep your Bibles open. But chapter 3, last couple verses in chapter 3. Now the Lord is that Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. But we all, with open face, beholding as in a glass the glory of the Lord, are changed into the same image, from glory to glory, even as by the Spirit of the Lord. Look up this way for a second. You ever look in the mirror? Everyone does this. You look in the mirror when you brush your hair, right? Or except Charlie. But you look in the mirror, or I look in the mirror after I eat just to see if there's something on my face. Martin didn't have to worry about work. Martin, he didn't have to worry about looking in the mirror. Okay. It doesn't help to look in the mirror. Okay, but the truth is, it's natural. When you look at the Bible, it's like looking in a mirror as a glass. As verse 18 refers to a glass. It's almost like when you look at something and you read and it changes you. You ever get that when you read your Bible? It is like, I've got this all wrong. I got to work on something. It doesn't matter as a young person. I always thought I respected my parents, But as I read the Bible, that I grew in my respect towards my parents and how I treated my parents. And I think it came from reading, from looking at this and say, boy, I had that wrong. I smarted off and I shouldn't have done it. I thought I was smart and I wasn't. Okay. Well, you do something with the way we speak, the way we act. Okay, but why does God always changing us like this, from glory to glory, from image to image, to be more conformed to the image of the Son? Why does He have to work on us like this? Don't we arrive at something? Becky, how long have we been saved? 50 years? 40 years, 50 years? We think, isn't there at some point where we've just changed enough and we're not going to change anymore to be more like Him? I don't think we ever get to the point that we can say, I've arrived at this level. A lot of people do. Okay, a lot of people, they get saved, so they quit cussing, drinking, whatever it is, and they quit doing this, and they think, I'm at the level that I want to be. But God doesn't, He's not satisfied with that level, okay? Because He wants to consecrate us or sanctify us, separate us for His glory, for a purpose. Okay, here's the purpose. Chapter 4. Chapter 4, look at verse 3 and 4. We'll read a couple verses. If our gospel be hid, it is hid to them that are lost, in whom the God of this world hath blinded the minds of them that believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Christ, who is the image of God, should shine unto them. Stop reading right there. If the gospel be hid, it is hid to them that are lost. There's a lot of people that I've talked to on a daily basis, weekly basis, at work or neighbors, and in my mind, I'm thinking I'm always looking for a way to get the gospel in. As I'm talking to people, working with somebody. Someone brought up a couple weeks ago the vaccine about the blood, and I thought life of the flesh is in the blood. I'm a blood donor. Here's the Bible says life of the flesh is blood, and I use that as an opportunity to use the vaccine conversation as an opportunity to try to witness to somebody. Okay, but the world doesn't see. They cannot see the gospel. A lot of people, they cannot understand the gospel. So they hear something, their mind is blinded to it. So they hear something, okay, I heard someone on the radio this week talking about those of us who I have not gotten the vaccine, don't plan on getting the vaccine. If I was older and had other health issues, I would get the vaccine, I believe. But by me having the COVID and then having the antibodies in my blood that the Red Cross can use my antibodies in my blood to help heal other people, or help get them better quickly, then I want to continue not to get the vaccine because the Red Cross can't use my blood in that process. They can use it for heart attacks or broken whatever for surgeries, but they can't use it for the whatever it's saying, for the antibodies thing, right? I heard someone on the radio the other day talking about people that don't get the vaccine. So they call us the flat Earth people, like they think the Earth is still flat. But everything's still twisted, okay? Because if you go back about 400, 500 years, 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. Columbus was a Christian, right? And he knew the world was round because the Bible calls the world a circle or a sphere. So he knew the Earth was not flat. Though the scientists of his day saying the world was flat, he knew it was round. So he knew he could sail from one side to the other. He thought he could sail all the way around it. Didn't know he was going to run into Earth, land in different places. But he thought he could just head west and keep going until he came back over on the other side. Okay. Why did I tell you that story? Because people twist truth. They want to twist the gospel. Okay. Most people that I try to witness to, their impression of Christianity is send me all your money, you'll get rich. The preachers on TV, okay? That is not Christianity. But the gospel is hid to those people that see that's what they're like, okay? That's what Christians are like. They just want your money, okay? There's a businessman out in Jackson County. I was out there buying something from him one day, and I thought, well, I witnessed to this guy. I've been out there a couple times. And I witnessed to this guy, and he said, he went to a church with his daughter who got saved. This man says he's saved. He went to church with his daughter, and after the service, she heard other people talking about him as if the church people wanted his money. That's the only reason they wanted him there. Okay? Is there anybody we want in our church because of their money? Is there anybody we have in our church because of their money? No. Is there anybody we want to go out and win them to get to come to our church because of their money? It's never been an issue in the last 40 years that we've been in church. Okay, but the gospel is hid to people. Okay, the gospel is hid to lost people, and it's often because it's twisted by what the world says Christianity is. Okay, if you listen to what the world says, we hate homosexuals. Anybody hate homosexuals? Okay, anybody hate drug addicts? Anybody hate murderers? No, we think they should be judged, everyone's going to pay for the crimes. But we don't hate these people. What the world said, the world paints this picture of who we are. Okay, we're supposed to hate black people. Okay, anybody here hate black people? I don't know anybody. I don't know if anybody hates black people. But I've been called a racist. Like we all hate black people. I don't hate them. I don't hate anybody. Okay, now. So what does God do to get the world to see what Christianity really is? He does stuff in our life to make the world look at us and see us differently than what has been painted of us. Okay? There's a preacher that I went to college with, and he was pastoring church down in Arkansas, I believe. And there was a mentally retarded boy in his church who lived with the boy's grandmother, and when the grandmother had to have surgery, that mentally retarded boy, the preacher volunteered to have the mentally retarded boy move into his home until the grandmother got better. Okay, so this mentally retarded, educably slow, I guess the word we would use today, this educably slow young man is moved into his son with Eric's sons in their bedroom. Okay, the state inspector came out to inspect the house. Well, because this boy was on Social Security or whatever, because of his disabilities. So the state inspector came out, and he was amazed at how well this family was taking care of this boy that they knew. He was not related to them; they were just taking care of him. Okay, and they weren't expecting a check from the church, from the state, or anything else. And when the inspector from the state heard that Eric was the pastor of the church, he was shocked, because he never knew any Christians that would do such a thing. He never heard of any Christians that would take somebody in. He never knew. He never knew. Everything he thought about Christianity was bad. As a state-run organization guy, everything he thought about Christianity was bad. Where did he get that from? The news? I don't know. CNN, Fox, wherever he got it from. But everything in his mind about Christianity, and Eric, the pastor, was like, that's not who we are. And you've been in our home, you see who we are, and now you find out that we're Christians. It doesn't change who we are. The picture that you have of us is this picture, what you've already seen. Y'all with me on this? So God does things to allow the picture to be changed, that we're not racist, bigot, homophobe, or whatever. Okay? God allows things to happen in our life. Let's read a couple verses. Okay? So others can see. Chapter 4, we read 3 and 4. But the gospel hid, verse 3. If the gospel hid, is hid to them that are lost. So how's God going to get the gospel to them? Verse 7. We have this treasure, I think it's the gospel, in earthen vessels, that the excellency of the power may be of God and not of us. Okay? So God says, I'm going to use you. Okay? And this treasure that we have is the gospel. But it's in our flesh. So how's God going to get to other people? By using us. Next 3 verses, verses 8 through 10, we'll read these verses. We're troubled on every side, yet not distressed. We're perplexed, but not in despair. Persecuted, but not forsaken. Cast down, but not destroyed. Always bearing about in the body the dying of the Lord Jesus, that the life also of Jesus might be made manifest in our body. Stop reading right there, okay? Apostle Paul was saying, we're troubled on every side, not distressed. We're perplexed, not in despair. We go through things that are troublesome, that are burdensome. But God says, I'm going to allow you to go through these things. And if you get knocked down, I want you to get back up. Okay? You're knocked down, but you're not knocked out. Okay? And I will allow you to go through these trials or the same things that everybody else in life goes through, but I want you to handle it differently because you have a treasure in an earthen vessel. There's something different inside of you than what's in your neighbor. If your neighbors are lost, there's something inside of you that's different than your co-workers, than if your co-workers are lost. And the only way that they're going to see the gospel's hid to them, the only way they're going to see the gospel that is inside of you, this treasure in earthen vessel, the only way that people are going to see this gospel is inside of you is if God does something to reveal himself through you to other people. Okay? Why would God do that? Because he wants those people to get saved. Okay? So every time we get knocked down, perplexed, we ought to look at it and say, okay, God, what are you doing? Okay? What have you got in mind? Every time we're trouble on every side. Okay? I listen. 90.5 FM. There's a bunch of preachers on the radio that I listen to when I'm driving up down the turnpike. And there's some of them, they're just angry. Okay? They're mad at the world, they're mad at everybody. Okay? There's others on the radio, preachers on the radio, and I think they're looking at all the things that's going bad in our country today. Okay? The promotion of the transgender society, where so many young people are confused now about who they are. And some of the preachers that say we're angry about what's going on. Well, we should be angry about what's going on, but what do we do about it? Just complain? Or do we allow God to use this situation to show the world that we're different? Okay? Doesn't God hate homosexuality? It's abomination to God. It's abomination to men. But I've worked with homosexuals before that know that I care about them and witness to them. Okay? My main goal with working with them is to get the job done, but my goal in working with them is witness to them. And they know it. So God says, I'm going to make you perplexed about something. I'm going to cause this problem. I'm going to allow this problem to happen. Okay? So I can reveal myself in you to other people. That means when you lose a loved one, or you get sick, or you lose a job, or trouble in your community, or trouble in your family, or whatever it is, God says, I'm allowing this to happen because I want everybody around you to see that you're different. I want them to see me in you. Anybody got questions on this? Anybody have questions, comments? Anybody, you feel like, why are you doing this? And you say, oh, this is why. Okay? This doesn't just happen to mature Christians. Okay? This happens to little Christians. I'll give you an illustration. Jared and Rebecca there's several kids in our neighborhood right there, the next couple houses, either side of them, little kids on either side. Okay, some of them have been here, came to Bible school and stuff. On one side, the kids have come to Bible school, and they come for Sunday morning. One of them was here 2 weeks ago. Mike's little boy was here 2 weeks ago. Okay. On the other side, they don't go to church. Okay, I don't know if they've ever heard the gospel. I tried to witness to some of the family members before, and I'm sure Jared has too. One of the little boys, Rebecca was walking with one of the little boys with Josiah coming down the street, and one of the boys walking beside him. Josiah's 4. This other boy is 4 or 5 years old. He asked Josiah, said, "Who's God?" He hadn't heard about him, doesn't know who he is. And Rebecca said, "Oh, how am I going to answer this? How do you answer this 4-year-old that doesn't know?" So Josiah proceeded to tell him who God is as best as he could. Okay? I thought about Leslie in kindergarten, Miss Becky, when Leslie said she witnessed to her friend in kindergarten, 5 years old in kindergarten. She talked about witnessing when she was, I told her friend about Jesus. Okay? And so the little boy asked Josiah, I said, "Where's he live?" "He's in heaven." And Josiah said this, "But he wants to live in your heart." Oh, my. Well, okay, well, John. But that's simple for a 4-year-old. Yeah, and it's the same thing for a 40-year-old, or a 60-year-old, or a 90-year-old. 7-year-old, whatever ages are. Okay? It's the same thing. God wants to take a situation where the person beside you who's looking for the gospel's hid, so God allows things to happen. Okay? So we witness that person. The person that's walking up your next door neighbor, or the person down the road, or the co-worker, the person down the hall from you. And God says, okay, I'll allow this to happen because I want you to be a witness. The gospel's hidden to them. All they know about that, anytime they've heard the word God, it has name at the end of it. Okay? Or every time they heard about Jesus, they've heard about send me all your money, you'll get rich. Okay? So God says, I will allow you to go through this because you got neighbors or you got family that need to see the gospel. They need to see the gospel. The gospel's hidden to them, they're lost. They need to see the gospel, and the only way they're going to see it is in us. Okay? They call it lifestyle evangelism. No, that's an opportunity to create it's creating an opportunity to witness. Okay? You being different than anybody else. My boss has told me our company got bought out 10 years ago, and the different things we've gone through in the last 10 years, in our personal lives, whatever. My boss told me one day, he said, you and Tammy handle life different than anybody I've ever met. Why is that? Gives me opportunity to witness. Okay? How come y'all are different? Here's why. Okay? My boss, he's a good guy, but he said he got saved when he was 10 years old. Everything he views everything in a political spectrum through CNN's lens, or Fox News lens, or what this Fox News reporter said, or what this ABC reporter said. So everything is viewed through that lens of the news. And I told him, I said, I don't view anything through that lens of the news. I don't watch Fox News or CNN. I listen to ABC News and different news stations on the radio as I'm driving, different ones, whatever I pick up. The NPR, We Hate America stuff, broadcasts they have. Anyway, but my view is a biblical view. It's foreign to everybody else. If the gospel we hear is hidden, then I'm lost. Well, how's God going to show them through us? To allow us to do stuff. So when we get knocked down, when you do bad things happen, we're knocked down for two purposes. One, to be conformed to the image of His Son. That's the purpose. The second is so that the world can see the gospel in us. So the world can see that we're different. Okay? Comments? Questions? Are you different? Or do you respond like everybody else? Do you respond like the world around you, or do you respond like a Christian? Let's pray. Thank you, Lord, for loving us. Thank you for truth you give us in your word. Help us do what's right in your sight. Help us be an example to others, that the lost will see the gospel. It's hid to those who are lost. Help us to take it to them. In Jesus' name we ask. Thanks for coming out tonight.